So we have two hearings this evening, everybody. Welcome to the meeting of the Board of Appeals. We have two hearings this evening. The first one is 109 Smith Road, and the second one will be 17 Christopher Drive. And tonight on the panel, we have myself as chair. Michael, want to introduce yourself? Nick?
Michael Brown, associate member.
Gray, associate member.
Thank you, gentlemen. And we have our clerk, William Donnelly, with us, and we also have on the panel on the hearing right now is Stephen Gillings, I believe, the
Hi.
applicant for 109 Smith Road. And so I'm just going to briefly talk about what the application is for and what we have seen in the file that has been related to this application. Mr. Gillings is proposing to build an addition to his house on 109 Smith Road, 9 by 20 second story, an 18 by 32-foot addition, tearing off the roof of the existing house and adding a 1.5-story addition in place of the existing attic. And so he is unfortunately increasing the nonconformity of his existing building and received a denial letter from the building commissioner dated November 11th, 2025. Mr. Rangel had submitted Mr. Gillings had submitted plans by Rangel Planning and Design showing his intentions. He has a plot plan that we were provided with, two of them. One dated, let's just have it right here, September 22nd, 2025, and the second one dated January 7, 2026. In addition to those materials, we have photos of the construction proposal in the attic area. There are support letters from 115 Smith Road, which is the immediate abutter, who has indicated support provided that the addition doesn't exceed the existing side yard setback. And also a letter from the owner of 30 Beacon Street Circle. We have received an opposition from 102 Smith Road, stating that she believes that the expansion is for additional units and in violation of zoning. We also have the notice of hearing. This was originally proposed to be heard by Virginia Donahue King, our zoning administrator, but given the discussion, she decided to put this over to the three-person panel instead. We also have additional design plans, and as I said, we have this revised plot plan dated January of 2026. And I believe that, as I said, with us, we have the applicant, Mr. Gillings. Is there anyone else with somebody who's speaking could just mute themselves until we ask for members of the public? No, Mr. Gillings, you should be talking, but there's other voices I can hear.
Oh, or anybody.
So, Mr. Gillings, why don't you explain to the board what you're proposing to do?
Good evening to the board. Good evening to each and every one. I thank you guys for taking your time to come and hear what I have to say. I appreciate it. So, I purchased this home in September, the beginning of September, I think the end of August, as a single family home. I would like to live there. I buy it with the intention to live there with my family, with my 3 sons and my mom and my wife. So when I purchased this house, I see the potential of it. It was a little bit too small because it was 3 bedrooms on the second floor, 1 bedroom in the basement, and a bathroom, which it wasn't up to code. The basement bedroom wasn't up to code.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm gonna drag you guys' memory back a little bit. If you look at A-01, that's the existing footprint of the building.
Mm-hmm.
You could see in the basement, it have a one-car garage, a bathroom. Uh, they put a bedroom down there, but on the plan, it's not showing the bedroom because it was illegal. So I said, first of all, okay, I'm gonna keep the existing, I'm gonna keep the layout, but I'm just gonna push it back a little bit. So my new proposal for the basement is the setback first of all was 9 feet 6 inches.
Mm-hmm.
It should be 10 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So the new addition that I did is I set back 1 feet from either side of the property, make the addition a little bit smaller than the existing house, which was 9 feet 6 inches, 9 feet 6 inches on either side. So I bring the addition, which is 18 feet backwards, 1 feet on either side to comply by the zoning law, which is 10 feet 6 inches on either side.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at page A03, that's the new proposal of the basement. You could
Mm-hmm.
see I make it to be a legal bedroom in the basement. I remove the bathroom from where it was in the basement and I put it on the other side of the basement because I want to have like a nice family room in the basement. This is a single family home. It's not going to be multi-use. It's for my family. It's a single family home. I still maintain to have the garage in the basement and
Mm-hmm.
the mechanical room in the basement. So that's how I'm going to utilize the basement space.
Mm-hmm.
My older son is going to be in the basement. He's going to have his own bathroom in the basement. You don't have to come upstairs. So that's the use of the basement. If you go back to page um, A1, you could see the first floor. The first floor is a big porch at the back.
Mm-hmm.
The porch was 20 feet at the back, 20 feet pretty much close to the old distance of the house. There's a small kitchen, a dining, an office, and a living room on the first floor. So what I'm trying to create is, if you go to page A4, you could see where I create the new footprint of the first floor.
Mm-hmm.
It's a kitchen, dining, a small powder room, living room, still keep the office, but on the first floor, I have a bedroom and a bathroom for my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much all open concept, except the bedroom and the bathroom. Everything else is all wide open on the first floor.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to page A1. On the second floor, we have 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Those bedroom was a little bit small. The first floor have a bump out where you can see that little small roof right there. That roof just goes 1 story.
Mm-hmm.
The new proposal for the second floor, I still maintain the 3 bedrooms, but 3 bathrooms because I need my son, each one of them to have their own bathroom. They can't complain, they can't blame each other. That you mess up my bathroom, you mess up the bathroom. Each of them is gonna have their own bathroom. So when I go in there and I ask, hey, why your bathroom is like this? Why your room is like this? They can't say, oh, it's Kamari's fault. Kamari can't say it's Vashon's fault. This is a home that I'm trying. 20 years ago, I tried to purchase a home in Milton and it didn't work out for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I purchased this home now, hoping to have a dream home in the town of Milton. So as a builder myself, I built plenty of home where now most home is like open concept. Each person have their own personal space. So that's what I was trying to create to say that, okay, my three boys, they could have their own bathroom, their own bedroom. If a friend come over, they could spend time in the basement instead of spending time upstairs. In the basement, that open space, we're gonna have it like as a movie theater, a movie room where
Mm-hmm.
family could go down in the basement and enjoy themselves, can watch movie, we can hang out, and it's quiet down there. We don't have to disturb any neighbor, anyone. So I'm just asking the board if you could just look at this at a drawing. The house is a single family.
Mm-hmm.
At the rear, I have plenty of setback at the rear. At the front, I have plenty of setback. It's just on the both sides where
Mm-hmm.
I didn't meet the requirement of the zoning board, where I have 9 feet 6 inches. The addition, I can't touch the existing, but the addition, I I shrink it a little bit to make sure I meet the requirement of the
Mm-hmm.
zone.
Okay, excellent. Um, Nick or Michael, do you have any questions of Mr. Gillings?
Um, I just have a couple of questions about the timing of this. So the addition, so you say you've revised the plans so that you're now meeting the side setback requirements. Is that right?
Yes, when I original draw the plan, that was also, I already did that. The revived plan that I did in January, the previous zoning person asked me, there was concern about the basement, if the basement is like average grade. And there was concern about the attic also, because they said the attic, they want to make sure the attic is not more than 2/3 of the second floor. That's the reason why I have to revise it.
And so do these plans, so the plans that we were just looking at, these are
Yes,
dated September 15th.
yes.
Do these are these, do you think, in compliance with
Yes. Except because I don't have this setback on the sides.
okay.
That's the only reason why I have to come in before you guys, because on the side I don't have the 10 feet that's required. But on the new addition, I, I, I build it smaller. I meet that requirement.
Okay. And the new, so do we have, are these plans for the addition the new plans with the smaller plans, the smaller addition? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, or am I just confusing everybody?
No, actually,
Right.
Michael, you're raising a very good question because I had the same one because I knew that there were new plans, but they all have the same date.
Right.
So there's like three sets that are in the files that we have, but they all are dated September.
Okay, so the drawing that I submit in September, that's the original drawing. I just do some amendment to it. That drawing is just, it's not, get the building smaller. It's just to be, say, specific, like the basement is above, it's average grade. That's one of um
Oh,
the
I see.
that's one of the amendment I did, because there was saying that the basement is not average grade. So my survey guy redid it, show exactly what happened. It's average grade, because it's just right on the driveway side. That's the side that's go down. The rest of the house, it's average grade.
Yeah, that's on the plot plan that was submitted in
Yes,
January.
yes,
The notation about the average grade is on the
yes.
plot plan, not on the design plans.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So that was the concern about the average grade for the basement. And the next concern was about the attic. If the attic was 2/3 or less than the second floor. Those was the two concerns she have from
Mm-hmm.
we have in November. Those was the two concerns. Everything else was okay. Those wasn't just the two concerns she talk
Mm-hmm.
about, the average grade and the attic space. So those are what I,
And you have that affidavit from your architect that's
yes,
in our files that
yes,
talks about what the square footage is.
yes.
Okay. That's because I couldn't figure out why that was there. Now you've answered that question. That's wonderful. Anything else, Mike?
Nope, that's it.
How about Nick?
There. If I have to find my cursor so I can unmute. Um, I don't think so. I mean, the is I'm trying to understand. I think you explained it, and I'm sorry I'm so dense, okay? But the denial letter was issued on a prior set of plans, right?
No, is the same set of plans. It's just because of the setback, the 9 feet. I have 9 feet 6 inches instead of the 10 feet.
When he issued the denial letter, it was 9
9 feet
feet,
six.
9 feet 6 inches, right?
The existing house is 9 feet six
Yeah.
inches.
But what
Yes.
about was the addition? All I'm
Yes.
trying to figure out are the plans that we're looking at, were they reviewed by the code enforcement, and is this denial letter relative to these plans?
Yes.
Okay.
The reason why,
Yes, go ahead.
the reason why they do the denial, because I went down there, I talked to them, they explained it a lot to me. They said, okay, then Stefan, the reason why I'm going to deny it is because of the existing house is not 10 feet, is not meet the requirement. Everything else was okay, but it's just the existing house that
All
did
right.
not meet that requirement of the 10 feet.
Okay. All right. I don't think I have any questions right now, Chairman O'Donnell.
Okay. Member Gray. I mean,
Sorry.
as I said, you know, we do have
Chairwoman.
this you know, and it's a non-conforming structure, and the
Right.
addition increases the non-conformity. So, you know, that's sort of why we get these applications denied, is because of the fact that most of the stuff that was built in Milton doesn't comply with the existing zoning. And so, I appreciate the fact that there was a question about the basement, which hadn't been answered and now has. There was a question about the height and the attic space that's now been answered. And as the abutter pointed out on his support letter, was that you know the addition actually is in compliance now with the side yard setback, which is 10 feet.
Yes.
So it's not as wide. The addition is not as wide as the existing house by, you know, like 10 inches, or whatever. So, so I think that sort of addresses, why the denial was done. Um, and I know we have people that have signed in, I'm sure, Bill.
We do, but one of the people who seem to be in opposition is no longer on the. Oh, we do have a hand from Glenn Pavlicek. I'm going to allow him to speak now. We see your hand, Mr. Pavlicek.
I believe I'm unmuted.
Yes, you are, Mr. Pavlicek.
Thank you. I just wanted to point out that when Mr. Gillings was talking about building the addition on the house, we talked about the fact that it was non-conforming on the sides, as all of them are, and his addition on the back of the house was moved in a bit to make it conforming to the side sets. The other issue, though, was you know, the bump out on the left side of the house, which is currently a 1-story, is now going to be 2.5 stories.
Mhm.
So there is a nonconformity that is being extended because the non-conforming wall of the house is now going to be much higher.
Mm-hmm.
And I was under the impression that was part of the reason for the denial back in the fall, because it was expanding the nonconformity. I just point out that the three houses there, 109, mine at 115, the next one at 121, all have these side set issues because they were sort of squeezed in between the existing 103, which was a prior house, and Beacon Street corner.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things the designs did was put these one floor additions on the end. On the end of 109, that piece is one story. On my house at 115, both ends are one story with a
Mm-hmm.
colonial in the middle. 121, the end abutting me is one story also. My worry is if you start building up, making those one-story additions 2.5 stories, you're looking at, if some future owner of my house were to do it, you're looking at, 30-foot walls less than 20 feet apart because they're non-conforming on the sidelines.
Mm-hmm.
So I had asked that, in fact, the second floor also be set back a little bit above that, at least to try to bring that into conformity. I recognize that if someone builds a house buys a house and wants to do something that's in conformity with zoning laws, I'm not going to object to that. I mean, it's their right in my mind to build anything that conforms to zoning. But I was worried about the addition to the second floor of that one floor bump out. So that was the purpose of my letter. And that was nonconformity I was concerned about when I wrote the letter of
Oh, okay.
qualified support.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I think, that you've raised a good point is because we did have, Nick and Mike, did we sit on that one for Pleasant Street where there's a special permit for the construction, and then also is there a variance for increasing the height of the existing nonconformity? And in this application, I think all we've got is this special permit for the additions, not a request for variance for the second story over the old house.
Does that matter? I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
So I take Mr. Pavlicek's point about which I think if it's been a long day and I may not have got it, but if the applicant, I'm just thinking this through, if the applicant moved the side bump out to two-story addition, the second story of that half a foot back so that it complied with the 10 feet, that might literally comply with what the side setback is, but wouldn't it create a pretty weird looking house?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anyway. I don't have any other questions. I was just
no. So thank you, Mr. Pavlicek. Anything else that you wanted to add? You're muted.
No, that was my point.
Okay.
I just want to clarify the letter submitted.
Got it.
Okay. Bill, is there somebody else that has a hand up?
I don't see any right now.
Mr. Gillings, did you have anything else that you wanted to add before we go into discussion on this?
Yes, I would like to add. When in September I go to the building department and I pull a demo permit,
Mm-hmm.
and if you can look at most of the pictures that I sent to you guys, the house is pretty much demo because I have the speak to the architect and speak to the survey guy, and then I went to the building department and I was asking them if there should be any issues, and everyone said, "Oh, there shouldn't be any major issues." So I go ahead and I filed a demo permit, and I got the house with the intention that, okay, I'm gonna get the permit soon. I'm gonna start the addition and start the work. So right now the house is completely gut.
Well, that's not good.
That's what that's what the building inspector told me after the fact. But when I was pulling the demo permit, no one rejected or no one said nothing.
Well, okay. So anyone else having a hand up, Bill?
No.
Okay. All right. We will now close the hearing on this and then go into a discussion on the decision. Um, all in favor of closing the hearing?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry.
Okay, gentlemen. Um, I mean, as I said, we've had this couple of times where, if so, you know, in the last few months where we've been looking at these denial letters because they're increasing the nonconformity, even if you are in fact bringing in the side, so it does comply with the setback, you're still making a nonconforming structure bigger. And so hence we have this matter before us. I'm kind of, he's got lots of room in the back, lots of room in the front. And as Mr. Havlicek pointed out, it's the sides. You wonder why people just didn't stagger the houses instead of all lining them up in a row like that. But I suppose that requires a little bit more imagination. Um, uh, but I mean, I'm sort of respectful of the fact that he's now brought the addition in, so it's now in compliance with the setback. So it's really just a question of the addition on the existing house and that problem, and then of course just the major increase in the size. So what do you folks think?
Well,
I want to
I
go
think
last.
you want to go last, so I'll go out on a ledge. Okay. I hope there's not ledge where you're digging the foundation for this new addition. Should we decide to grant it, because that's expensive. But I note that the size of this house relative to the houses in this particular neighborhood is a lot smaller.
Yes.
So the fact that the house is in this, and by the way, congratulations on providing us with a really detailed, clear set of plans. I know we have 3 sets of plans, and that's confusing, but sometimes we get some pretty rudimentary kind of sketch-like stuff, and I appreciate the time and effort that you put into getting us a real set of architectural drawings and a site plan and all of that. That really helps us figure out what the situation is. Okay, enough of that. The house itself is pretty small for the neighborhood, right? And I'm sympathetic to the applicant's need for space. Okay, um, it, it's tight to the lot line, but the original structure is tight to the lot, is doesn't comply, and to my eye, the addition itself is primarily extending into the backyard where
Mhm.
there's plenty of room, right? So, and the addition itself has been corrected, if you will, so that it's complying at 10 feet back. I appreciate the nod there to the, I'll leave it to others to decide whether it looks better being flush or better with a half-foot cut on either side. But in any event, I'm fine. I think I'm fine with it, is what I'm trying to say. I recognize that it's going to be taller on both sides of the house, particularly on the Pavlicek side. But if they're we've established that it's still a single family, right? There's no multiple units going in there.
No.
We've established that the basement is usage and design is going to be otherwise compliant with the bylaws, with the egress and all of that. So I'm inclined, subject to listening to what my esteemed, attorneys of the board who have been charged with, like, I figured, looking at architectural plans. I'm curious what you think, but I'm kind of in favor of supporting the application right now. How about that? For a special
Okay.
permit. For a special permit.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Nick. I agree. I think that, and again, I also thank you for submitting these plans and for doing a good presentation and explaining what all this is. I agree. The addition is going to be in compliance with the bylaw, and it's a tight lot, but I don't really have any issues with it.
Okay. I agree, with you guys. I mean, as I said, I appreciate the fact that it's sort of going to have this little tuck in so that it is in fact compliance. I appreciate the input from Mr. Pavlicek about the impact of the height on his side because it's now going up another story. But I think all in all, I don't have any real reason not to approve this. There's certainly enough room on the site for this addition, and it certainly makes the house more usable for multi-generation living, as they have proposed. And so I'm in favor of granting the requested relief.
Thank you,
We
guys.
have a motion.
I move we approve the special permit, subject to the usual requirement that it be in substantial compliance with the materials submitted to the board.
Any
Second.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Mr. Gillings, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank
So
you.
we'll have to draft the decision. It'll be submitted to the clerk. We all have to sign that. It gets signed over, it gets delivered to the town clerk. There's 20 days for people to file an appeal after it's filed with the town clerk, at which point, if there's no appeal filed, you can record the special permit at the Registry of Deeds and proceed to get your building permit.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And thank you, members of the public who signed in, and for people that sent letters of support and letters of opposition. We appreciate your input onto this decision.
Luck cleaning all those bathrooms.
Yes.
Man, the water bill is going to be ridiculous.
I can't say no to the poor guy with needing bathroom for each kid. I mean, let's. I mean, I could, but it's a great. I understand your design. It's a worthy goal.
I don't know. My
All
father
right.
was in the Navy. You got 3 minutes. That was it.
I know that was not part of the record. So
Okay. Thank you
right.
very much.
Bye-bye.
bye. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, next, we have up Christopher Drive, 17 Christopher Drive. The application by Mr. Ryan Nguyen and Tracy Nguyen. I probably mispronouncing that. I apologize. Who are represented by attorney Marion McEtrick. In this application is triggered by the fact that there was an illegal construction of a carport done without a building permit. The town issued an enforcement letter dated December 30, 20. Actually, that's Fubbleman Page. The enforcement letter from the town is November 12th, 2025. And then town council has provided a letter dated December 30, 2025. We have a letter from Ms. McEtrick explaining the application by the client. We have a conditions plan dated October 14, 2025 by AGH Engineering. We have a carport design package set of plans. We have an existing conditions with a sketch of where the parking for the RV was previously located before the carport was built. We have specifications for a fence. We have a copy of their deed dated August 2nd, 2017. The existing subdivision plan for Christopher Drive in 1957. The assessor's plan, the property card. And we have support letters from 11, 35, and 29 Christopher Drive. We also have an opposition letter from John Kenny, the owner of the property next door, 23 Christopher, who has sent in a letter and pictures. I think that is the contents of the file with the Board of Appeals. And I see that we have the applicant, Ryan Nguyen here, and the attorney, Mary McEtrick. I see the Kennys are signed in, and is there anybody else? Bill? Is that everybody? We don't know.
Just an iPhone anonymous, but
Okay.
so I think
Okay.
everybody.
Okay. So Ms. McKettrick, nice to see you.
Nice to see you. I'm Mary McKettrick, and I'm here to represent the applicants for this hearing. So you've heard a brief description. Well, yes, the applicants did erect a carport without a building permit, and as a consequence, and part of thinking they didn't need a building permit, they erected the carport too close to the lot lines in the back and the side. So that's the situation that has given rise to this hearing. The reason we're before the Board of Appeals is to ask the board whether they would consider approving some zoning relief to keep the carport in this general location, but at a reduced size. So the height of the carport would be reduced and the length of the carport would be reduced. This is an a fence, a commitment has been made by the owners of the property to put a fence up on the side closest to the neighbors who are objecting. So the purpose of this particular proposal is to try to mitigate the concerns that the neighbors have. They felt it was unattractive, they didn't like looking at it, too tall and non-conforming, so not in compliance with zoning. The reason for the location is that it's the rear left corner of the property, and putting the carport or some kind of garage structure as far back as possible puts it as far away as possible from the neighboring residents, the residents of the neighbors who are objecting, and also puts it farther away from the applicant's house. The original, the reduced size of the carport, I just want to make sure I have the numbers right here. So first of all, we're still talking about a rear setback of 3.2 feet, and we're talking about a left side setback of 1.5 feet. So there's a clearly significant variation from what the zoning bylaw requires. So we're asking the board to consider whether it might make sense at this reduced size for this carport to leave it in place. It's placed on a cement base that the Noyens had to construct. They obviously had to pay a company, and it was their error, but they had to pay a company to build this car. It's structural elements are put together on site, which is why the company has told them they can reduce the size of the carport as long as they're using a similar base. And they have the reason this all moved forward fairly quickly is because the applicants bought an RV. It has a rubber roof, and the roof needs protection. And so that carport would be a great way to protect the roof. The RV is larger than their regular automobiles, and they needed to make a little larger structure to protect it. They did have the RV parked alongside their house before they constructed this carport. So I guess we're asking the board to consider various options, all of which are within the limits of what's being requested at this hearing. First of all, if the board does not want to entertain any zoning relief for this structure, then the Noyens are going to have to relocate the RV back next to their house, and they're going to have to construct a protective structure over the RV there. That places the carport, such as it is, next to the neighbor's house. And so the Noyens felt that this location in the rear of the lot was better for everybody. It's better for the neighbors and better for them because they're not looking out of their house at a carport in between their house and the Noyens' house. So that was the fundamental reason they chose this location. The carport has to be big enough to protect the RV, but it doesn't have to be as high as it is. And I've looked at the structure, and it does look high sitting in the back of the lot. And I understand, we all do, why the neighbors were objecting to the way it looked. But I gave you some calculations for so just backing up a little, the RV is 25 feet long, 10 feet wide, and 11 feet tall. So it requires a structure that can encompass those dimensions. The vehicle was purchased, Mrs. Noyen has been very ill. the purpose, the purchase of the RV was, a special thing for the family. The idea was that they wanted to be able to take some family trips together, spend as much time together as possible. They've been through a very difficult period with their family. And so they purchased the RV, they got the carport up quickly, and then all of this happened. And now they are having to decide what exactly to do to accommodate these concerns and to deal with the zoning issues. At the revised size, the rear and side setbacks will still be non-conforming. However, when a fence is installed at an effective height of 8 feet on the closest lot line, the visible height of the carport will be 4.6 feet, and of that height, 1.84 feet will be of the peaked roof and 2 feet of the wall. So that does considerably reduce the view of the carport from the neighbor's lot, and it's the rear lot of their lot. I think, well, the proposal had support from other neighbors, but those aren't the neighbors who are closest to it. But I think it's important to know that the neighborhood does generally support the Noyens. And I acknowledge that in the letter from the neighbors, they also said, they have sympathy for the medical issues and problems that this family has had, but they didn't feel that justified erecting this carport in violation of the zoning. I've talked to Ryan Nguyen about some other options as well that are sort of would also require zoning relief and would be included in the scope of this application. And I'd be happy to, if the board would like to allow him to speak, he can explain what those are. I thought it might be helpful to hear, well, it's up to the board when you want us to answer questions, but that's a quick summary for me of what this application is all about. You have the plans from the company. They're detailed plans, but they're for a modular structure, essentially. So a modular structure that can be redesigned in various ways. The base for this carport was put in by Mr. Nguyen himself with the help of a contractor. He's probably spent more than $15,000 putting this together. He's basically trying to come up with a way to not waste all of that money and come out of this with some way to protect his new RV. So that's a summary. We'd be happy to answer questions, and Ryan Nguyen is here and he can speak as well if you'd like to hear from him.
I'm trying to think whether, well, gentlemen, do you have questions for Mr. Nguyen, or should we speak to the Kennys next?
I really want to know what the how the relief. Obviously, we know we're talking about a variance, right? Which is a lot,
Yes.
which is a really strict standard. And we're talking about, this is Nick's opinion, a huge intrusion into the side setback, right? It's 1.5 feet from the property line. And it, if the zoning bylaw stands for anything, right? It kind of stands for exactly not doing something like this. So in order for Gray here to be able to even consider a variance for a super non-conforming structure, in my view, I need a super airtight, this there really is, it meets every requirement of a variance. That's going to be, I'm just telling you now, probably not surprisingly, that's where I'm going to struggle, right? Because it's huge, it's dark, it's 1.5 feet from the property line. So I'm going to need a lot of help getting to how a variance could be granted in this situation. That's all I have to say. Yeah, from whoever is going to help me with that.
Mike?
I mean, if Mr. Nguyen is here and you'd like to speak, then I'm happy to hear him. I think this is a tough case. We might as well hear as much as we can.
I agree with that 100%.
Okay, so why don't, Mr. Nguyen, we'd like to hear from you about the sort of reasoning behind this, and then we will entertain the testimony from the other participants in the hearing. So welcome, Mr. Nguyen.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ryan Wins, and I reside at 17 Christopher Drive. Our attorney was stating earlier that um, I know that I'm supposed to be pulling the permit and doing the um, basically like to go through the whole process. Before I put it up, I didn't know that I would need the I because it's not attached to the house, so I thought that um I don't need the to going through like all the permit and everything. That's the reason why I put it up, and after I put it up, then I knew that it was that was wrong, and I even though it's not attached to the house, I still have to go through the whole process. And so my intention at first is that when I bought the RV is that like was stating in the application as well as our attorney that because my wife is still recovering from cancer, and we would like to take time every time we have um, to spend time with our two teenager and a family to travel around, and that's the reason why I put the carport up, um, and also I found out that after I bought the RV that the RV is a rubber roof, it's not like a metal roof like the other car, so it need the protections for the RV. That's the reason why I go for the carport. And when I order the carport online, they have a standard, either a 10, they have a set um, RV size, which is, the height is either 10 feet or 12 feet. And the 10 feet will not be able to fit the RV. So that's why I ordered the 12 feet. So when I put it up, to be honest, it's still like, it's way too high than I expected. And that's why that's why I looked before, the before the Tower Milton's, mechanist. I think that he came to our house and talked to us. I even looking around to see if there's another company they be able to come and customize it to make it like shorter as well as shorter and lower. Because it looked too high, and so and then I'd be able to found that they'd be able to do that. But before I can do anything, then the town of Milton told me that I cannot do anything um, until I go through the zoning and boarding as well as other proper procedure to do that.
Mhm.
So that's why like everything is on hold. So even for the fence, I have to put it on hold, so because um, I can't do anything until the hearings. And then I also talked to our neighbor a few times, and as well as our neighbor daughter to propose all the things that I can change to make it, um, like suitable for my family as well. It's not going to look, it's an eyesore for a neighbor. Um, so I propose they say and also it's in the application that it's going to be longer and shorter. And with the fence, I'd be able to put the fence up, and like I say, I'd be able to like plant some bushes so that it's going to cover it. So basically, by the time we reduce the height and the size, basically is almost the height of our shed or the neighbor shed next door. So it's not that visible like it is right now. And I think that is going to be better that rather something that is that's completely covered rather than parking the RV outside and then they look at the vehicle all day. Um, so that's my intention for having the RV. And before, like also in the application as well as in the diagram, that where I park the RV, which is around 17 feet away from the neighbor house, which is where I parked before, versus now where the RV park in the carport, it is approximately like 40 feet away. So by the time we reduce it to a smaller, so it's going to be at least like 50 feet away from the neighbor the sunroom. So that's the reason why like I push it to that all the way in the back. So it's less visible to the neighbor as well as uh, um, as well as too close to them so they to their house. So that's why I was um, looking for to do. So I think if I really I really need the vehicle for to travel with my wife and the kids with all the time that we have, um, and um, and I strongly felt that in the back would be less visible for everybody, and with the um, rather than parking close to my house, closer to the house. So so I hope that you will be able to um, be able to see if when I park it closer to my house um, is going to be more visible to them rather park in the back with the gate or something that is covered. Um, and that's why I was proposing to see if we won't be able to get the variance, then if we move over and park it closer to um, our house, then is I don't think they will. Just based on my opinion, I don't think they're going to like it either because it's going to be much closer to their house. It's still 30 feet away from the front of the property, and it's still 17 feet. So it's not going to be any variance. But then I spent a lot of money, to on the carport as well, to the RV just to make my wife happy and whatever the term she had left. So that's the reason behind it. And I think if they if the board are okay, if I can park the RV in the back, I can be able to park it like close to my house as well. But instead of wasting the money, I can be able to I can still use this the same has got the footing as well as lowering it the RV to like 8 feet. That's another option that I was thinking I can lower it to 8 feet, or I can just park all my car in there, and then I can be able to park the RV in the back of our house. So that's the two options that I went over with our attorney and to be able to present it to the board.
Thank you, Mr. Nguyen. I see that the Kennys did anybody have any questions for the applicant?
I just have one question. And so we've got photos here, and I think these come from your neighbors, Mr. Nguyen. But I'm just looking at right now next to the carport, there's a metal fence, right?
Yes, chain link fence.
Is that your fence or the Kenny's fence?
That's our fence.
Okay. Do you know, looking at these pictures, are you able to tell how far the lot line is from the side of the carport today?
The lot line. So based on the surveyor, he told me that from the fence it's going to be like another foot and a half. That's what he.
Okay.
That's what
On the
he.
plot plan, it says 1.5 feet.
1.5 feet.
Yes, 1.5 feet. Yes.
Okay. No other questions at the moment?
I just had a quick question, Mr. Nguyen. Did you speak to the Kennys before you started this whole thing?
Yes. So I did talk to the Kennys, and I did talk to him before I put it up, and and then I talked to them after again. So it is a misunderstanding. I asked him to see if it is okay for me to put the carport up, and he's saying it's your land. You can do whatever you want. So that I thought that it's going to be, okay. And then afterward, after talk to the commissioner as well as the code enforcer, then I talked to him again, and he say, "Oh, I thought you were asking me to put the fence up." I say, "Yes, I did say that." And he saw me doing it, and with the footing and as well as cleaning up, and um, so I did propose that to him, and then so because and that's why when he said that, I thought, I thought it's not an issue at all because like I moved here since 2017, and I know all the neighbor pretty well, and they know me really well too. I always, helping around the neighbor with, so that's why they are supporting after after I talked to them, they have no issue at all. So that's why I did talk to him before, and I did talk to him afterward, um, and then um, and then afterwards, his daughter told me not to talk to him
Mm.
anymore. So that then I did talk to Kathleen, the daughter, um, instead of talking to him because we still great neighbor. I still he's still I say he's still making bread for
Mm.
my kids, and I still doing I'm still doing the snow and the leaf everything that I used to do with every neighbor around. I would, to be honest, I was shocked that they they brought it up to the town. And I think is that I'm not blaming anybody. I know that if I know that I have to be 8 feet away and I have to put a permit, I have no problem of doing it that before. And it is what it is. Like I already make a mistake, and I'm here to correct it and make sure that um, that everybody is going to be.
Well, thank you, Mr. Nguyen. I appreciate that. Could the people have their hands up? I assume the Kennys would like to speak. Maybe they have some questions and they probably have a statement they'd like to make. So welcome.
Hi, thank you. I'm Kathleen Jenkins. I am a daughter. My brother Stephen Kenny is here, and the anonymous is my sister, who is also on the call. My dad wasn't feeling well tonight, so he wasn't able to take part. So I think, as we expressed in our letter, this is in very clear violation of any zoning laws, and there was no permit that was pulled, and we feel like everything could have been avoided had there been a permit, because the town would have very clearly told him, what he could do and not do. We also feel like the structure is very ugly, and I know that we were all surprised, including, Ryan told me that he and Tracy were also surprised at how large it turned out. One of the neighbors on the other side of us said he had signed a letter saying that he was okay with it. But once it went up, he said he wished he hadn't signed that letter because he, again, didn't realize how large it would be. But we just feel like, again, this is, my dad is 92. I think there's an emotional part and another part. The emotional part is he sits out in his porch all day, and so that's what he looks at all day, as you can see from the pictures. The other part is, he was also a licensed real estate broker for 60 years, and he realized this is going to have a huge impact when he goes to sell the house, or when we sell the house. He is 92 years old. These are his words, not mine. If I croak tomorrow, kids, and you go to sell the house, people won't even come in to look at it because they will drive right by. So I realized that $15,000 or whatever was spent is quite a bit of money, but we don't even feel like we would be able to get anywhere near what the house is worth. So we just feel like it is very, very clear that, whether there was ignorance of what the law was, that we think it should be taken down. And we also don't think an RV should be stored anywhere on the property at all. The backyard is not really a grass backyard. Ryan's paved quite a bit of it. So it goes from one end to the complete back, and then there's another part that's all paved. So I'm not saying it's probably more grass than tar, but it's tarred. So it looks more like a parking lot. We don't think it's appropriate at all, regardless of where it is. The reduction in size seems minimal. We have a neighbor who put a tiny shed up next to ours that we gave him permission for. It's also not a permanent structure. A big gust of wind could probably take it down, but it's just barely over our fence line. So I don't think that's a fair comparison. But we just think that, that with proper process procedures, the variance, that there is absolutely no way aesthetically, we look through the bylaws. That word comes up a lot in Milton. In the bylaws, it should be aesthetically attractive if possible, maybe not specific to this accessory, but again, it just doesn't seem to have any place in the neighborhood.
So there was a proposal to put up a fence, and so just wondering whether that you've already stated that the reduction of the size isn't particularly meaningful, as I understand. There's the offer of the fence and other sorts of things, and also the idea that perhaps the RV gets parked someplace else that isn't maybe as preferable. But you did listen to the testimony of other sort of compromises. What was your first feelings about all of that?
We think if you look at the photos and if you put an 8-foot fence, and even if you shave a few feet off of that, it's still a giant dark metal structure. That's been sitting there. The RV has not been used since it went up. Again, we are sympathetic, but one of my suggestions to Ryan was, like, can he just, the money that he could be saving with a lawyer and all this other, can you just go store it someplace? Like, there are places that stores RVs and boats. So that was my suggestion to Ryan earlier on. My father is too upset to talk about it. Ryan has been an excellent neighbor, but he said, this is personal, financial, and and again, it's a variance. It's on the property line. Moving it over to put it, he's even saying that it'll just be in greater view. So if it's allowed to be shrunken and moved, it's still in greater view of the back of of our property, of our home. So I wish I could say we're willing to compromise, but I feel like with this, we've been very open to the commercial vehicles that are parked there for his safety automobile business. But this is, we feel like this is just too much.
Thank you. Gentlemen, do you have any questions for the Kennys?
No.
I don't think so. No.
Marion?
No, I don't have any questions for the Kennys. I did want to hear what they thought about the
Other options
proposed,
yeah.
And I didn't see any feedback on that in their letter. So, but I understand that they're saying that they feel that reducing the height of the structure and putting up a fence it's not enough apparently. And we all acknowledge that this is a big variance, that we're very close to the lot lines here. One of the things that I discussed with Ryan prior to this hearing was, well, we talked about all kinds of different ideas. One was reducing the size of the structure as proposed, but moving it over so that it was 8 feet away from the neighbor's lot line. So it'd still be able to use part of the base that's been created, wouldn't be completely wasted. The base would, the owners would have to extend it. However, doing that would still require a rear lot line variance. So there would still be a variance involved here. And so whatever problems you have with that issue would be there for the rear lot line variance. But that was one proposal we discussed. The other thing that I think Ryan alluded to already was, what about if I just reduced the roof way down to like 9 feet and I had the fence and I could just use it to park my car? That's an effort to make use, I guess, of the expenditure and the improvements that he's tried to make and not completely waste all of that. It wouldn't be, however, it would not be parking for the RV if it were reduced to that height. And then finally, all efforts fail, the board doesn't want to support any zoning relief, then he's looking for, he has had the RV parked elsewhere on his property at a much greater distance from the lot lines, which is depending on the distance and the measurements. And, we're not in this hearing to discuss the presence of the RV on the lot. There's been no enforcement. There's been no letter saying that the RV is in violation. The issue has been the carport. If there's some other issue there, the annoyance of the RV if they don't get this zoning relief. But I do believe that that discussion is not before us tonight. So I don't have anything new to add. I would say that if it seems to be the preference of the board and and you haven't yet had a chance to discuss this before you close the hearing, we might, if you are not inclined to approve this, I would want to discuss with my client whether he wants to request to withdraw.
Well, you still have the enforcement issue, though, even if you withdraw the application.
That's
Right.
right. Of course,
Yeah.
then he has to take it down.
Okay.
All that does is remove this application, and
Right.
I don't know if it's helpful really, but
I see Mr. Wynn has his hand up.
That's yeah. So like earlier, I heard that Kathleen, our neighbor's daughter, was saying that if the people drive by, they're gonna see the ugly carport. But like saying when we reduce the size and when I'm putting the fence up, it's not that. I'm also on my driveway. I also put the gate up. So when people drive by, they would not be able to. They only see the tips of the carport as proposed. So I did talk with the commissioner as well. He's saying that when we can be able to put that and it's in um, and is in compliance as long as I didn't go over the height of the fence. I built when I put the gate on the driveway, when people drive by, there's no way they'd be able to see that. I even popped the RV in there. And like I saying, because when the RV at first, I was gonna put kind of like the how you call it, the pool the hand pulling gate down to just close it so people are not going to see it. But I cannot do anything now. It's covered with the top because now it's temporarily covered with the top. So the town told me, I have to put everything on hold. So that's why even with a portion of chain link fence, I cannot like I cannot do I cannot fix a fence or anything to make it um, look nicer for the neighbor either. And
Thank you.
and then on regarding of their concern about the paved driveway, I did when I first moved here before I do the driveway, I extend the driveway all the way down. I did talk with the town, so it's still so they're okay with it, and there's still a lot of grass on the back of my yard, so it's not that I paved the whole yard or 40% or 50% of my yard at all.
Thank you. Gentlemen, I hear Nick's comment about the fact that it's a request for a variance. And while this town is generous, in my experience, with giving variances, I have a real problem with it. It's it's sitting right on the property. I drove by it. I've seen the property. And so it's big and it's right on the property line. And it's kind of like, well, that's why we have setbacks. So I'm having a hard time finding justification for on the grounds of a variance that it's not a derogation of the bylaw. I think it is. It's not an asset to the community particularly. So I'm having some trouble with. I'm interested in the idea of saying, well, we'd give one for the rear, but you'd have to move it away from the side. Not so sure that addresses the Kenny's concern about the fact that it's huge, um, and not particularly attractive. But at least it wouldn't be as sitting right on the property line next to the fence. So I'm interested in your thoughts, gentlemen.
Are we discussing this now?
Yeah, we're not closing the
so-
hearing because Mary might want to throw something in. So
So I agree. My thoughts are if you move it, 8 feet in, I mean, the only way I can think of that would satisfy the Kennys from an aesthetic point of view is, to move it in 8 feet, put up the vinyl fence, and then maybe do some plantings between the fence and the carport, which would really shield the view from the Kenny's property. That's a thought, and it's really not germane to this hearing, but I tend to agree with Kathleen. I mean, the variance standards are very difficult to meet. This is obviously presenting a financial hardship to Mr. Nguyen, but it's a financial hardship, unfortunately, of his own creation, and we can't really allow that because it would just encourage people to ask for forgiveness instead of permission, and that would be problematic for the town. I think it is a substantial derogation from the bylaw's intent because it's such a, aggressive violation of the side setbacks. And there's, possibly a detriment to the public good as well, just from a neighborhood aesthetic perspective. I'm really sympathetic to Mr. Nguyen, but I'm also sympathetic to the Kennys. And so I think we need to decide this based on the letter of the law, and by the letter of the bylaw, I just don't see this getting a variance.
thanks, Nick.
Oh, whenever we're granting these variances, I tend to go back to this 48 section 10, right? The statute. Like, what's the standard? And so before we even get in, again, as I read the statute, right, before we get even into a discussion of the aesthetics of it, or could we do it, we have to make a finding that there are owing to circumstances relating to soil conditions, shape, or topography of the land. And we haven't heard any evidence that there is a reason due to the shape, topography, or soil conditions that this structure had to be built where it was, right? So say, and I'm very sympathetic, and yeah, we are pretty free in Milton relative to other towns in granting the variance, but we've got a neighbor who's objecting, who's directly affected. It's 1.5 feet off the property line. I've heard no evidence of soil conditions or the things I just recited, right? As those circumstances. So say we granted the variance and it's appealed.
Yeah.
We're in the black room. No, it's not getting upheld. So I'm extremely sympathetic, and we've had a situation like this similar before, where an out of town or whatever, I think it was a shed company in that case, but plopped a shed down. I don't know if in a similar manner, right? Shame on the company that put this in my view, for not advising the homeowner before they spent all the money that, oh, by the way, this thing's going to violate your zoning bylaw. But be that as it may, I just don't think we have the basis to do it. And when we have to go back to what our statutory authority as a Board of Appeals is in granting these things. We didn't write the statute. We're just charged with enforcing it. I'm sympathetic, but I can't find a way to support it without that meets the statute. That's all I'm saying, in a long-winded sort of way.
No, it was a very good explanation on that, and sort of I think I think we're all in the same place. I mean, we're very sympathetic to the needs for this, but I would be having, as a person that sometimes drafts the decisions, I would have a hard time kind of coming up with a reason for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we haven't closed the hearing. So Marion, if you wanted to withdraw the application before we take a vote.
Yeah, I'm a little puzzled about what advantage there would be to doing that. There's not going to be a return with the exact same application, and that would only be possible if you allowed withdrawal without prejudice. I just want to say, though, in conclusion, that the reason we're here before the Board of Appeals was that the applicant and his family worked on some changes to their proposed what they had erected. And their hope was that those changes would be enough that the Kennedys would not be upset anymore and would not feel that this was a blight on their property. And obviously that hasn't come to be true. So I'm sorry if you feel like we've wasted your time, but the main purpose of this was
Oh,
to
no, 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 no,
not
no,
at
no,
all.
no,
Not at
no,
all.
no, no,
No,
no,
no,
no.
no. I would just say that the changes that were made to the plan do reduce the size of the building, but they don't move it from farther away from the line, which was the kind of chief thing that the chief thing that we were worried about. So but I appreciate that there was changes, and no, you're not wasting our time by coming in and talking about it. We live on the zoning board of appeals to be of service where we possibly can to the town of Milton. I think John Leonard would say that if he were here. So
Yes.
indeed that, yes,
and
that is absolutely true. And thank you.
and it's true. He's
Yeah,
right.
thank
He's
you.
not here, but I would.
You're channeling him.
Well, he's very much alive, so maybe not channeling, but I feel that he would be saying that if he were here. So we're grateful, and I guess what I'm saying is I don't want any of my comments to be interpreted as I thought you were wasting our time, because not at all.
No, I don't think that.
Not
Thank you.
100% no.
Yeah, I just wanted you to know there's been good intentions all the way here, at least, once the owners found out.
Oh,
what was
I don't think,
I don't
nobody's,
doubt that at all.
nobody's
And
questioning the intentions. Absolutely
That's
not.
evident.
Okay, thank you. All set. Ryan, you understand what I'm saying? Do you want to talk to me before about this idea of withdrawing, or do you understand why? I think it probably makes more sense to just go. If we want to take a very brief break, we could talk on the phone. Do you feel that you need to talk to me off the out of the hearing?
Oh, so basically what I'm understanding is that, but if I withdraw, so basically the difference is that if I withdraw, then just saying down the road, just saying for down the road, I can be able to apply for another variance. But if I apply for my thought is just either way that I can be able to. I think if it's not if it's not approved, then I still be able to, I think, go through the town and pull the permit and be able to build a carport that, based on what I know, is like as long as 8 feet from the left my property, as well as 8 feet to the back. And based on what I know from the town, is like as long as not 20 feet, but that's excessive, basically. So either way, if I decided to move it over to park my RV, then it really doesn't matter to.
You won't be back before us if it's inside the
Right.
setbacks.
Yes. Yep,
This
that's what I.
would be up to the building department to review any future proposal first, and determine for you. But your objective, I think what you're saying is to if you do something else or something different, is to be in compliance with zoning. Correct? Yeah.
Yes, so it's going to be so I
So
still,
the
I think I
withdrawal
still be
wouldn't avail you anything, really. I think we just go with the
Yes.
procedure and whatever the board determines, whatever they decide.
Okay, anything else? And does anybody have anything else they want to add before we vote to close the hearing? The Kennys, the Jenkins, do you? Any other hands raised, Bill?
Do not see any.
Okay, I'll
Oh,
take
wait a minute. Please just raise their hand again.
No, they took it down.
They took it down?
They gave
Okay.
us
They
thumbs
said,
up.
I think they're saying they're okay.
They're
I saw
okay.
a signal. I'd take a vote to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Second.
Aye.
We've had our discussion. Does anybody want to add anything to the discussion that we've had, or do you feel like we are in a position to take a vote?
Nothing to add.
Before us, of course, is this application for a variance for the carport at 17 Christopher Drive. I have to vote no on this. I don't think we have justification for the grant of a variance. As other people have pointed out in this discussion, I'm very sympathetic to the need for this, and I'm also very sympathetic to the cost that has been incurred by this property owner, unbeknownst to him that he was building something that required zoning relief. And I feel pretty terrible about that. But as I said, I also, looking at the law, can't find any support for the grant. Other people have anything they want to add?
No.
I agree with that. I'm sympathetic both to the applicant and to the neighbors.
Yeah.
It puts them both in a sad position. I'm sure they seem like they get along very, very well, and it's very unfortunate. But I agree. I have nothing further to add than I said previously.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, even without the difficulty to each of the parties here, I just think by the letter of the law, it's just not a grantable variance. And so also very sympathetic and sorry it is this way.
So may I have a motion?
I move that we deny the application because it doesn't meet the standard for a variance under chapter 48, section 10.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much for everybody that participated in this. It's a difficult situation, as Michael pointed out. It's a small neighborhood, tight neighborhood, and these sort of things are unfortunate. But I hope you can appreciate the fact that we are sort of stuck with what the law says, and really couldn't find in the materials that had been submitted sort of sufficient support for the grant of a variance, which according to statute or case law are supposed to be sparingly granted. So,
Yeah.
But thank you very much, and we look forward to what happens next.
Thank you very much.
Since you just said we look forward to what happens next, what does happen next? Like with the structure? Like, is there a certain amount of time before it has to come down, or is there?
That's up
Don't you
to
have to file a decision?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sorry?
we have to file a decision
Okay.
with the town clerk, and then the building department will take it from there.
Okay, great. Thank you.
That won't be our action.
Okay, great. Thanks.
And please thank your father for participating. So a motion to adjourn.
So
Bill?
moved.
Anything else we have to? I don't think we have anything else.
Second the motion.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Who's going to draft the decision? So we have two decisions to draft. Anybody volunteering for Smith Road? Okay.
I'll do this one. I'll do
Take a look at
Christopher.
the one we did for Pleasant Street. It's pretty similar to that. So,
Okay.
and I'll draft, Nick, do you want to draft this one or should I draft it?
You don't ask that question.
I
But
know, you
I'll-
should ask it. Yeah,
I'll draft it if you want me to.
that would be great.
Okay.
I'd
Okay,
appreciate it.
which one do I have?
You have Smith, the
Okay.
the addition, and Nick
Okay.
has this one.
I have this. Oh, okay. Fine. Either
Okay.
whichever one you assign to me, I will write.
Yeah, this one.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Good night.
Okay.
And
Thank you. Thanks, Marion.
You're welcome. Good
thanks,
night.
Marion.
Thank you.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Seconded.
All right, all in favor with my
Aye.
thanks.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Thanks
Aye.
all. Good night.
Night.
Night all.